Once we got there, we mowed the lawn around the camper, but ended up mowing more grass all around the property.
We were supposed to be in South Dakota for my birthday, but we came back to Wyoming just in time for my 13th birthday on June 11th. I think that is one good thing that came out of all this. We stayed home most of the day, then went to a big dinner of 14 people at Olive Garden. My mom, dad, sisters, Daniel, Sarah, Nani, John, Jackie, Jacob, Jeremy, Justin, and obviously me were all there. It was great spending my birthday with family, and it was an amazing dinner with good breadsticks. Thank you so much to everyone who came to celebrate with me, and to my grandma, who couldn't come but was thinking of me, even though she was going through so much. We got donuts the next morning because they were out on my birthday. We went to Texas Roadhouse with Sarah, Daniel, Jason, Shay, Barry, his brother-in-law, Nani, John, and Aunt Christy for dinner when Barry came out to visit Grandma in Cheyenne.
While Grandma was in the hospital, she really missed her little dog, Toby. We got permission from the doctor to bring him in to see her. We brought him to see her a few other times while she was still in the hospital.
Back at the house, my grandma owns about 300 acres, part of which she rents to tenant farmers. They were doing wheat this year. We took a drive around her property. It was very green and muddy from the rain.
We went down to Colorado Springs for Grandma's heart surgery with a specialist. Grandma rode the 3 hours in an ambulance. The RV park we stayed at was small but nice. We brought Toby along and there was a nice grass area nearby.
On Father's Day, my dad always goes to the restaurant BJ's. We were really lucky and found a BJ's in Colorado Springs. My dad got a special Father's Day cup, and the food was amazing. We loved our pizza and pizookie. Then for his Father's Day outing, we went up Pikes Peak. The drive was beautiful, but a bit scary because of the mountainside. Could you imagine racing up it? That is what my great-great-grandpa did in 1921. He built his own car and raced it up Pikes Peak and won. He came back second time and won second place. His name was King Riley. When he won, he only drove the course 5 times before the race, when others had been practicing for weeks. His winning time was 19 minutes and 16.2 seconds. When we were there had been a blizzard a few days before, so the peak still had snow in it in June. We took a bus up the last few miles to the top. When we got up to the top, we did not have a lot of time before the museum/store closed. We got some of the famous donuts, and they were spectacular. I see what all the fuss is about. Pikes Peak is what the poem by Catherine Lee Bates was based on. That poem became the song America the Beautiful. Catherine was taking up the peak on a wagon, and she was so inspired by the view. It was cold at the top and windy, but it was a good choice on my dad's part. On the way down, my Uncle Billy drove our truck, nicknamed the Beast, for the first time.
We headed to the Capitol in Denver, Colorado. We went on a tour and saw the Rotunda and the old Supreme Court chamber. On the 3rd floor of the Rotunda, there were portraits of our presidents, with most of them being done by the same person. Then we went to the House of Representatives in the center. Dad and Billy had to leave, but the rest of us went up to the base of the dome. We went outside and saw all around the city. Denver is known as the Mile High City, so there's a marker for 1 mile above sea level on the Capitol stairs. There's actually multiple markers because they were not able to accurately calculate it until GPS. Colorado Springs is known as the Olympic capital of the US, so we had to go to the Olympic and Paralympic Museum. The museum is an interactive experience with lanyards that saved our progress. In one of the rooms, we tried out different Olympic sports like running, skiing, and archery. Colorado Springs has such a high altitude that it pushes Olympic athletes to the max, making it easier to compete at lower altitudes. The smaller amount of oxygen in the air increases lung capacity and improves performance in lower altitudes. We watched a cool movie before heading back to the RV. This was a really cool museum and I learned a lot. Who knew poodle grooming was an Olympic sport in 1900, judged on how many poodles could be groomed in 2 hours? We went to the Colorado Springs Pioneers Museum one day. The museum is inside an old courthouse and focused a lot on local history. The exhibits were pretty good with lots of artifacts. The coolest thing in this museum was a 1917 birdcage elevator that was still in working condition. It was so cool to ride in it.
One night, we went out to dinner to a nice restaurant called Fargo's. It was a Victorian-themed pizza place with good food, including a salad bar. On Sunday, we went to the Garden of the Gods. We brought Toby and Prince along too. Prince was in his backpack, and Toby walked most of the way. We walked about 4 miles altogether. The rocks were beautiful up close, and we even got to climb on some. It was a nice walk, even though it was fairly hot. Now, Christy joined us at the end to see the White Rock, which was pretty peculiar because all the other rocks were red.
We went to an old mansion called Glen Erie Castle for an afternoon tea. We each got our own pot of tea that everyone got to try. Our favorite flavors were berry and caramel. We also got dainty little sandwiches and cakes and other yummy food.
One day, we went to the Focus on the Family Welcome Center. We thought it was super nice and very kid-friendly. There was a big slide Gemma liked and a fun and challenging scavenger hunt. At the end, we got some great ice cream from the shop downstairs. We used to listen to Adventures in Odyssey, which is a Focus on the Family audiobook. We hope to listen to it again soon since we spend so much time in the car.
After a successful surgery, Grandma headed to Fort Collins, Colorado for rehab. Fort Collins is only an hour away from Cheyenne and it has a great rehab program. It will be super beneficial to be closer to our home. Before we left, it started to hail pea to grape-sized pieces of ice, but thankfully there was no damage. Toby got to ride with Grandma to the next hospital.
We are so grateful we were able to secure a spot at Peak RV with only 2 days' notice. It is a newer park, but without any amenities. The staff was great, and it was only a 15-minute drive to the hospital, which was really important. We had planned a big day in South Dakota for Ashlyn's birthday, but with this last-minute change to leave South Dakota early, she was very happy to have so many family members come to dinner. We went to a quick dinner with some new full-time family friends we met in Florida. Unfortunately, I forgot to take a picture at Black Bear Diner, one of our favorites. In-N-Out was a must once we got close enough to the West Coast. Though we were in Colorado Springs for Carol's surgery, we were able to fit in a bit of sightseeing. Carol was in the ICU for a week following surgery, and the kids weren't allowed to visit, so it was good to keep busy.